Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening. It's April 25th, and welcome to Black Authors Matter TV. I'm your host for tonight, Gwen Richardson, along with my co-host,
Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Good evening, everyone.
And we have an amazing show again tonight, and we are marching towards our award show, which is always very exciting every single year. And for those of you all who have been voting, we've had over 2,100 votes, ballots cast so far, because the vote is many more votes than ballots. But we've had over 2,100 ballots. The voting ends on midnight this Friday, April 28th. So if you support anyone, or if you're an author or someone who's nominated, made the finals, vote for yourself. You can vote more than once a day. And so we'll know who wins in all those categories on May 16th is the award show. And so we have 2 books to give away tonight. And I have a couple of other announcements, but we'll do that after this first guest is on. And his name is Sanford. And he is an author of mysteries, a mystery series. So we are going to bring him on to talk about his books. And the titles all start with dying in this particular series.
That's
so. I don't know if it's supposed to be morbid or mysterious or suspenseful, but anyway, Rod, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV. Oh, you need to unmute so we can hear you. We see your big old smile.
Sorry about that. Yeah. I sit on business calls all day and learn how to mute, and here I go just again like a commercial.
You think no. 3 years of being in a virtual environment, we wouldn't make these mistakes, but it happens to all of us.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. But no, I'm
tell me to mute when I was just blabbing while we were waiting for a meeting to begin. And I'm just talking. And like, Rhonda, mute your mic. Right. I wasn't saying anything bad about anybody.
Yeah, muting and unmuting, they're both essential at the right time.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, Ryan,
no doubt.
Thanks for coming on the show, and thanks for sharing your mystery series with us. And like I said, all of the books start with the word dying in this particular series. So, hold on.
Well, not just that, but I'm noticing that your murders are happening during very significant Black events. What is going on?
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah. So, right. So, yeah, the Dying Heart series is about this good-looking guy right here, Lim Phillips.
Okay.
And Lim, he runs his own private security business. He's from East St. Louis, Illinois, my hometown. Woohoo!
Okay.
And he has his own security business where he's those guys, in the black jackets and the earpieces, making sure everybody's safe. And so he works at a lot of these large African-American cultural events. And unfortunately, at them, sometimes people die hard, hence the name.
Okay.
So the first one was Dying Hard in the Big Easy, where he worked at an event in the middle of the summer that sounded a lot like Essence, but not really Essence. And then the second one was Dying Hard on Golden Mountain, where it sounded a lot like the National Brotherhood of Skiers Black Ski Week, but not quite, kind of, sort of. And then the third one, which has been our biggest success, is Dying Hard at the Classic. Because if you're going to do Black events, you got to do an HBCU Classic, and that's the latest one that's out. And yeah, so they all take place at Black cultural events, and but he is the champion of those, and makes sure that those folks get justice.
Okay. Now I hadn't heard about the skiing one, the Gold Mountain.
Yeah. So you guys familiar with NBS, National Brotherhood of Skiers? It's an
No, I ain't
organization.
heard about a black ski thing, but the one I've heard about is co-ed. It's not
No,
just
I've heard about a black ski event, and it's pretty big. I've been wanting to go. I can't ski. I just wanted to go.
You gotta
But
go. You gotta go.
Was it men though? Was it a
Oh
male?
no. Yeah, it says brotherhood, but it's co-ed. It's
Oh,
totally,
okay. That might be the one I've heard about. Where now? What is it? Does it always take place in the same place?
Mm-hmm. No, it's usually in February, and it's in different places. This past year they were in Vail, Colorado, and next year they're in Wyoming, but don't quote me on that. Wyoming or Montana. But I've been a member of the group for several years, and it's not just about skiing. I dare say we had about 16. Yeah, we had about 1,600 folks there this year, and I dare say maybe half of them don't ski. They spa, they shop, they relax, they enjoy the area, and then people like me go and use it as inspiration for a murder mission.
Ronnie said party.
No doubt.
Well, know, it's good to write something that you're familiar with. It's helpful in writing the storylines and the dialogue and the scenery. You know, it's helpful to do the familiar. And then sometimes it's helpful to go outside there. It requires research. And, you know, you have to stretch a little bit. So now the first one you did was the Big Easy. So that's during the New Orleans Music Festival.
Right, exactly.
Is that the Essence Festival? Is that like the
Essence Festival?
It sounds a lot like Essence,
the Essence
but
Festival.
Not quite. Yeah, it looks very similar.
Yeah, but we can't use the Essence Festival
about the jazz
name.
Festival. You could be talking about Saxophone Fest. You could be talking about the French Quarter Festival. You could be talking about the Strawberry Fest. Yeah, that's it, the Strawberry Fest.
Yeah,
there you go.
You have to make up. Sometimes you have to make up names of events.
Fried Chicken Festival. That's the one you're talking about.
The Fried Chicken Festival.
It's a festival in Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
But so the wonderful thing about this is that, you know, as Lim, and the name of this company is Paladin, which is an old word for guardian. But the Paladin, folks, is Lim and his protege, and I love this character, is Terry Lovejoy. So Terry is kind of like that younger police sister. She was on the police force with him, and when he started his business, she left to go with him. Now Terry Lovejoy has a PhD in clinical psychology and 2 black belts in 2 different martial arts. And instead of sitting in an office psychoanalyzing people, she's out here on the front lines with Lim because she just has that passion for being out there in the action. And she has his back, and they take care of business. And the Dying Hard and the Big Easy, they go there, and there's just like I said, unfortunately, one of the people who they're supposed to be guarding is murdered. And so they have a moral imperative as well as a business imperative to find out how this happened. But that was the first one. And so what happens is also, one of the things I love about my books is the subplots, right? There's the main character, there's the main story, right? Someone gets killed, we've got to solve it. But I love the subplot. So there's a lot of stuff going on underneath. For instance, the fact that in the first book, we find out that Lim he gets back with his old flame, kind of a 90s star. She was out when CeCe Peniston and all those folks. And so she kind of went her way, and now she's back in his life. And she reveals some secrets to him that really, really, really tear him up. I'll share one of them is that Lim is a father, and he never knew. And now his son is grown and is a fairly accomplished rap artist. And so what you see as he's solving crimes and things like that, even into the next one where it's Dying Hard on Gold Mountain, they're trying to repair this relationship and figure out where they stand. And so you have these subplots going on all the time in every one of the books. And Dying Hard at the Classic is a great one because I tell you, it starts off with this young kid, Sean, who is a drum major for one of the universities. And he's unfortunately killed by an Atlanta police officer, a white Atlanta police officer. And so it feels like something ripped from the headlines, right? And the celebrities that are at the Classic are going to limb and saying, hey, man, I want you to make sure this guy gets justice. Don't let this guy slip off the hook. Go find evidence, and make sure it comes to pass. And what happens is Lim finds out that, well, there's a few other things going on here other than just a careless cop shooting a poor kid. And all that comes bubbling up in the story. But at the end of the day, it's a story about the Classic. So make no mistake, I have a halftime show. I got a battle of the bands. I got a step show. I got everything at a Classic that should be at a Classic.
Okay.
Well, okay, now, are you drawing from personal experience? You've been in all these things?
Yeah, that was what I was going to be next.
Oh yeah. Well, oh yeah. I mean, I've been to all of these events. I have a very close family tie to Fort Valley University in mid Georgia, and so I've gone to Classics and been a part of the HBCU environment and experience. I didn't go to an HBCU, but I've been a part of it as a spectator and a partaker of it for years. So yeah, no, a lot of this is drawn, at least the setting is drawn from my experience. Now the whole killing people and stuff, yeah, that's.
I hope you're not killing people and then writing about it.
You're right.
No, I was just
right
about experiencing these things in person. But I did want to know, because writing mysteries can be very difficult because you don't want your plot to be predictable. But at the same time, you need to be able to drop clues along the way so the reader can try to solve the mystery. So how do you balance that?
Exactly. Yeah, and so right. I mean, you're right. There's rules to this, right? And we see it all. It's not a good story, right? And one of those rules is you got to give them a chance, the smart, intelligent, attentive person, a chance to kind of figure it out before you get to the end. Like one of the biggest rules, like you said, introducing the biggest piece of information right at the end. Don't do that. Don't do that. So no, you're right. So how I do it is you interweave it in the subplots, right? So for instance, in Dying Hard at the Classic, right? Okay, we got a kid that's been shot by a police officer, and it sounds like something we've all heard before. But then as we dig into it, we find out that David Cooley, the white police officer, is married to the daughter of one of the most prominent civil rights leaders in the state of Georgia. And then we find out that he's also got a whole lot of awards for working with inner city kids. Doesn't sound like a careless cop that doesn't care if he shoots a black kid in cold blood. Then we find out that poor Sean is cousins to Camp Butterfield. Camp is one of those guys that, he's always aligned with crime, but never really convicted of a crime. And then we find out later on that Sean's girlfriend, Brianna, who, by the way, is pregnant with his baby, unbeknownst to him, he didn't know.
How come none of the fathers know about the babies in your book?
Well, they didn't know. He doesn't know yet. He didn't know yet. But we find out Brianna is the niece of Disciple Daniels, who's this he's an ordained minister and also runs an escort service. And Sean's cousin, Camp, and Disciple Daniel. So as you work through all these subplots, because I don't want to give them all away, that's how you interweave the clues as to what's really going on.
Okay, he's a currently ordained minister that runs an escort service.
Yeah.
Right, doing two things at once.
I know. Isn't that amazing?
Well, it's that wouldn't be the word I would use, but I think it's outrageous. But anyway, you have to create the story. Now, I have a question about, I noticed New Orleans is is a setting for a lot of movies and books and things. Of course, New York and LA or San Francisco, those are the top ones. Atlanta a lot too.
Yeah, sure.
But New Orleans is also, and Rhonda's from New Orleans. So have you noticed that, Rhonda? Well, is that a trend? Is that because seems like that's happening more in the recent years, like in the last
shooting a lot of movies
years.
These days. When I first retired from the Army, I was a background actress. So you might have seen me in my award-winning movie, The Green Book. I had a very prominent 1 or 2 seconds in the movie.
Really you were in it? Were you really?
I'm not sure. I'm not joking because my allergies bothered me today, so I need to drink some water. But
but Rhonda, I will tell you, Rhonda, when we wrote,
just 2 seconds.
I'm trying to. Okay, the Green Book, the one with I don't know his name, but the actor, his name starts with an M. You were in that. I saw that. What? Okay,
when they went to the little bar and they called the Orange Bird and they were ordering a chicken and he went on the stage and played the piano.
Right. Yeah.
I was in that scene.
Oh, you really? Okay. I have to go pull it up.
I'll go watch the movie tonight.
Okay. Do you know? Okay. Do you know like the timestamp where you appear?
Right. Now I gotta go back. We gotta slow click through it.
All
right?
I can tell you is go to that scene when he's playing playing piano. And then when he plays the classical song, he turns around and he plays kind of a little bop song, where he got everybody dancing. And
I remember that part.
You're gonna see me right on there dancing.
So are you on the dance floor?
I'm on the dance floor.
Oh wow. Well, that's amazing. And that was in New Orleans.
Yeah, Rhonda,
in New Orleans.
Yeah, that was in New Orleans.
Okay.
Rhonda, I will tell you. So my wife's people are from New Orleans, been there for years and years and years, and I've always loved it. But I will tell you this, and you'll appreciate this. When we wrote Dying Hard in the Big Easy, I went to New Orleans, and I had been there before, but this time I went there, and for like a whole weekend, I walked every street of the French Quarter, because when I start placing people and buildings and places, I wanted to be able to I wanted it to hold up so that when folks from New Orleans said, oh yeah.
For people, when you're going to write a story and you're going to place the story in a city, even if you don't live in that city, I feel like you have to do history. You have to spend time there. So you can, just because you found out a couple of factoids, that's cute. But when you can go there and experience the city, I think that really brings the character to life and it makes the city one of the characters in your story. So
exactly. No, you're and I've had people from New Orleans that know New Orleans that read that book and said, you. I was like, and I'm very proud of that. So
that's great. Now, did you have a security background yourself, or what made you use a security guard? Well, not a guard. He runs a security company. So, what made you pick that profession as a character?
Yeah, so I've got like over 30 years in insurance investigations. That's what I use to pay the electric bills for a long time. And so the whole idea of investigating was not new to me. But I wanted him to be something different from a police officer, because there's a lot of police procedurals out there, right? And there's a lot of private investigators, and that's what I landed on. So,
okay, well, that's we tend to write what we know.
Yes,
I think the more experienced people get at writing, then they go further outside those boundaries.
And this served, and it also put him in. I wanted, so how do we have someone that's going to all these cultural events, right? Of course, they could be a participant or a tourist, but what if they're working it, right? And so that was the other thing. Him in that role puts him at these events. Like for instance, probably later on this year, it's not probably, but our next one is going to be Dying Hard at the Inkwell. We're going to Martha's Vineyard, y'all, 4th of July weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That is a destination for a certain group of Black people.
Yeah, and we get into all of that. Your kind of people versus our kind of people. We get into all of that. all while we're killing somebody. Yep. We get into all of that.
Yeah, some people go every year.
Yeah.
And they have events there. I've never been there. I've been to that area, but I've never been to Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, and so one of the things is that, you know, Lim is not one of those people, and so he goes there with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, kind of like, these snooty folks, and you know, and then something ends up happening, and he gets all in the middle of it, and all kinds. Can't wait.
Okay, so what made you sit down and start writing your first one? What made you say, okay, I'm gonna write this first mystery, this first one, the one, the first one is Dying Hard in the Big Easy, right? That was the first one,
right? Dying Hard.
So well, what made you say, I'm gonna write this book?
Actually, it was I was a frustrated romance writer. My first 2 books ever written were romance.
Really?
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
One was called
That
Hunger,
is, so you went from romance to murders.
Yeah, but let's be
romance
real,
can lead to murder.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But let's be real. If you're gonna be a guy, that writes romance, you gotta be that guy. I wasn't that guy.
I'm not a romance reader, but I don't know if.
Yeah, you know, I wanted to be like.
I don't know if the male point of view works for that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Exactly. I wanted to be Michael Baisden, Eric Jerome Dickey, all those guys. I'm like, wasn't quite falling. Don't get it wrong. Those stories are still out there, and I'm very proud of them, and I'm very proud of the stories. But in terms of marketing and selling it, and and making it believable, I'm more believable as a guy that kills people. What can I say?
Okay. So what were the first 2? What were those romances? What were the titles?
One was called Hunger, and one was called Holiday Flavor. And one of the things that's really fun when you do a series like the Dying Hard series is, and I have another series, it's called the Teak Mannion series. It's a murder mystery series, but it's mainstream. It's about a white guy doing things and getting into trouble in much the same way. But the cool thing is that they start to cross over. So the main characters in my romance novels start to show up in my murder mysteries. Like the main character in my romance novels, like the male protagonist, Gregory Phillips, is actually Lim's cousin. And so you start to see them kind of intersperse, because I have this dream, right, that they're going to be these people that read everything Rod Sanford writes. And they're going to say, oh, I remember him from that. So.
How many books do you have right now, including the romance?
About 10. There's the 3 Dying Hard. There's 3, a couple of fantasy adventure things about a tiger that speaks with the voice of man. So about 10 titles.
Okay. And where do you see your writing going? Like what path are you choosing in terms of genre going forward? Are you going to continue in the mystery category?
Oh yeah. That's my bread and butter, no doubt.
Okay.
I'm going to always be in that space. But like I said, I have another series that's about a white investigator and things like that. And that was really just about not putting limits on myself, because if James Patterson can write about a Black guy, then I certainly can write about a white guy. All right. Fair enough. But mystery.
About a Black guy, made him very believable. So yeah, you can do the same thing.
Oh yeah, baby, not taking no choice. Exactly. So that'll be where I'll stay. We will continue to have murder mysteries at Black cultural events until I run out of
Yeah, well, I don't think we should,
And then I'll
limit
circle back around and
ourselves.
find some other ones. The
As Black writers, I don't think we should limit ourselves because other people write about us all the time. So why shouldn't we write
all the
about
time.
other people?
Yeah.
And in both of my mysteries,
yeah.
My antagonist is a white guy both times. I mean, so they're two different characters. But in the first one, he's an editor of a paper. And in the second one, he's a lawyer who's just has a lot going on behind the scenes. That's all I'll say. I'm really getting in a writing mode, and my book is really flowing, Rhonda. So I'm really excited. I'm getting close. I'm getting close.
I have 1.5 books that I need to write this year. I say 1.5.
Okay.
It's going to be a re-release, as I already told you.
Okay.
Right.
I'm saying it on air because y'all hold me accountable. But
there you
I'm
go.
also going to write a holiday novella, but
okay.
I need to rewrite my my first book, Cheating in the Next Room. So we all have some writing to do this year.
Mm-hmm. We really do. And so
I love that. I love that idea of a holiday book. I mean, that one was really fun. I did one, and I just really enjoyed it. So yeah, do that.
Yeah, the only thing about writing a holiday book, well, if it's a novella, depending on how fast you write, if you miss like the on-ramp for this year, you have to wait till next year's on.
I know, that's why I have to hurry up. I need to write all summer so I can get it released by October.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go. Really be disciplined on the starting.
But you can bring it back around like the next year, and make it.
That's what I'm saying. You would have to. Yeah. You would have to. It has to be released. You have to finish and release it at the right time. So, Wright, we're at the end of our interview time, but we want to make sure people know how to get your books and how they can reach out to you on social media and so forth.
By all means. Dying Hard at the Classic is available on Amazon and rodsanford.com. Just what you see there, rodsanford.com. And everything's available there. All the titles, the Dying Hard titles, the mainstream titles, the fantasy adventure, all of it is available. And you can reach out to me through that as well. And yeah, we talk all the time. I'm going to be in Mississippi later on this summer. And I'm going to be in Atlanta in August at the National Black Book Club Festival in August.
Okay.
And a really cool Nashville does a really good book show. AJC in Atlanta is not doing this year. Man, I'm brokenhearted about that because I really did well there. So I'll be out and about. And anybody that's got book clubs that want me to show up, I will travel.
When are you coming to DC? When are you coming to DC?
Come where? Ooh, you know what? We can make that happen. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk. But see, I was gonna follow you on Instagram, but I didn't see your Instagram link. Yeah, I think it's you know what? It's under RBS Worldwide. That's my LLC, RBS Worldwide.
Okay, I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna follow you.
Yeah, no, I love DC. I've got a book club up there that holds me down. I'm up there on the regular. So no, let's make it happen.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Ron, congratulations on all of your writing success. And we look forward to seeing more from you in the near future.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good night.
Take care, ladies. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, that was Rod Sanford, and he writes mysteries and other things. So we have a few announcements. I have the books to give away. So I already talked about the voting for the Black Authors Matter TV Awards. It ends Friday. If you want to vote for your favorites, do so. And the award show is our May 16th show. The entire show is the awards. If you haven't seen a Black Authors Matter TV Awards show, you're in for a treat. It's an amazing event, and it's wonderful.
It's love, and I just love how excited the authors are. They take this so seriously, and if you have a friend who's one of the finalists, support them, please, because they take it so seriously and it means so much to them that people
really does.
This is the type of contest where people have enjoyed your interview. And often some people have never heard of the author until the interview. And because the interview was so good, they purchased the book before the interview even ends. So
right. And also, this is one of the few awards processes where for literature, where the public gets to vote on who they support, who they like, and so forth. And the public gets to watch the results. So it's wonderful. So our next book club kickback is June 13th with Connie Briscoe and her new book, You Never Know. So we have 2 books to give away. The first one, this is an ARC, an advanced reading copy, With My Little Eye. It's a novel by Jocelyn Jackson. And the question for it, I have to look at my questions. The book's main character, Mary Bell Mills, is a single mom approaching what age? Meaning how old? So that's the question to win that book. If you get the answer right, you win this one. And the next one it's a book that we had left over from, this is an autographed copy of Mary Monroe's book, Empty Vows. It was one, she sent some extras, and this was an additional copy that we hadn't given away yet. So the question for this, and somebody's going to get it really fast. This book is the second book in a series. What is the title of the first book in the series by Mary Monroe? So if you get that answer, you win that autographed copy of Empty Vows. Next, we have our next interviewee subject. But what I'm going to do, because the final interview subject is logged on, I know it's because of the time zone difference. So I'm going to bring Quan on to tell him to log on in an hour before I bring on the actual guest that's supposed to be on. And so when Quan, if you can hear me, his mute thing. Quan, your schedule, I know it's a time zone difference. You're scheduled for an hour from now.
And it's not 8:30 Eastern?
No. It's 8:30 Central.
8:30 Central? Why did
which is 9:30 Eastern.
I looked at the flyer and I could have sworn it said 8:30 Eastern. I'm sorry.
No.
Look on the bright side, Quan. This gives you time to go find your ring light, so we'll be able to see you.
Ring light. Y'all know I don't do the ring lights. Listen, y'all know whatever light y'all get is what the light y'all gonna get. So. But I got a ring light in here somewhere.
Just log back on. Just do the same thing. And log back.
I done shared the wrong damn information. All right, y'all. See you in an hour.
That's okay. Your fans will come back.
All right.
They're not going anywhere.
All right.
This is crazy though. Did you notice that he was wearing an Inkwell sweatshirt?
I did, and the Rod Sanford is writing a book about the Inkwell.
I think if I see Inkwell one more time, I know that's my message that I need to go to Martha's Vineyard.
We need to ask him about that when he comes back on. So our next guest is Elle, and I don't know if she goes by Elle or Ellie Wright. Her writing name, her pen name is, I don't know if it's Elle or Ellie. I don't know how she pronounces it, but she's a romance novelist. She's an award-winning writer, and she's going to tell us about her latest release. So let's see when we can get her on camera. I see something, but that's not her face. Hi. Now, do you go by Elle or Ellie?
Elle.
Elle. Okay. I just want to check. And your next release is next month.
Yes.
It's called It's Not Them, It's Only Her.
Yes.
Okay.
It's an interesting title.
It is interesting. Yeah. It makes you think about, okay.
It almost sounds dismissive. Is that what you were going for?
It's like a naming convention for the whole romance series. It's a series called the Young in Love series, and each book has that type of name. The first one, It's Not Me, It's You. The second one
Okay.
is It's Not Love, It's Business. And then the third one was It's Not the Hookup, It's the Chase. And this one is
Okay.
It's Not Them, It's
Then
Only You.
it's only her. Is it only
Only
her?
her, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm always intrigued by the clever titles people come up with, especially for series where it's continuing and you want to make sure they match up.
Yes.
They're connected. So it's a continuum. So how many books do you have published so far? I've been seeing your name for a long time.
Oh, really? Thank you for having me. First off, I appreciate the opportunity.
You're welcome.
I have 28 books that have been published.
Okay. Are they all romances?
Except for one. One is a thriller.
Okay. And so what made you choose romance as your main lane?
Well, I fell in love with Beverly Jenkins. She's a historical romance author from my area. We live like 10 minutes away from each other.
Okay.
And I was really sick after I had my daughter back in 2000. And my mother came over with this book that had the man and the woman on the front and the clothing, draping and all that stuff. And she said, I want you to read this book. And I said, no. But when she told me it took place where we live, it kind of intrigued me. So I opened it up and I finished it in less than 2 days.
Wow.
And it changed.
Now, which one of her books was it?
Indigo.
Indigo. Okay, yeah, that was one of her earlier ones. That's a really good. That's a really good book. I've read several of her books. I haven't read them all, but I've read a lot of them. She's really
she's
good.
Amazing. Just that experience changed my worldview about romance. I felt transformed because I was able to learn so much about my area and get a romance.
Right. She does that. She teaches you about history while she's telling the romantic story.
Yes.
And she always does a build up. Some people, and she's been on the show twice, I think. She's been on the show twice since we started. So one thing I tell her, I know, and I'm not a romance reader generally, but I like historical fiction. So that's how I ended up reading her. But for her books, the sex is like on page 100. It's not in the beginning. Some people just start off with just somebody had their legs up, and it's they do the sex and then they develop the characters.
The sex scene. I don't like it to be gratuitous.
No, I don't either. Give me some character development first. Tell the story. Give me a backstory. Give me some kind of story first. But she always builds it up to it's a slow build up. It's like not like a microwave, but it's like so that's what she does. That's what her makes, and the history that she provides.
Oh yes, it's very just because I'm from Michigan too, so I've learned so much about the state and the Black history in our state just by reading her books. It made me want to go read more just by reading those books. So
to get more information.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, that she actually makes you think about the past and the present, that she makes you do some research of your own sometimes. But she also, I like that she will give that little history in the book itself, whichever book it is. She'll spend 3 or 4 pages explaining the background for the area or the time or the event or whatever.
Yes.
She does that.
And I love her descriptions. She puts you right in the scene. And I think that was the first time I ever fangirled over an author is when I met her for the first time. I was like,
she has a solid fan base.
Yes.
Did you kind of learn to write just by reading her? Did you kind of know where you wanted to go?
So I never thought I would write a book. I was always a reader. since 4 or 5. I mean, I just remember reading books a long time ago, and my mother was an educator. So actually that's how she met Miss Bev, because she worked with Miss Bev's late husband. So she was an educator. So she brought books home all the time, and I just ravenous, like I'm just reading it, from a very early age. Okay. But somewhere around high school, I got this notion that I was going to write a soap opera.
Soap opera.
Okay.
Yeah, my grandmother was one who every day at 12:30 had to turn on Young and the Restless.
So she watched the stories. That's what they used to call them.
Yep, the stories. And then during the summer, my mom would watch General Hospital and One Life to Live and All My Children. And I would always sneak to watch them too. So I knew like Luke and Laura and, some things like that. And and then at night I would go, if I went to see my grandmother, I was like watching Dallas and Dynasty with her, so I thought I want to write something like that, so when I went to college, I started writing this ongoing saga about this girl in college, and it was episodic. So every day in the lunch, we would go to the snack bar, and there was a group of people who I was, well, what happened next? What happened next? So that's what I would do at college to kind of entertain myself, is write in this little soap opera type thing about this girl in college. And I didn't realize I wanted to write a book until I had this weird, strange dream about this lady assassin who went into this lair 5 floors underground to protect her family. And then everybody I would tell about the dream is like, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. So I'm like, okay, so I just sat down one day and just wrote the dream. I wrote the dream out, and I write because I read. So I knew the structure of a story,
Mm-hmm.
So I just started writing. 6 months later, I had a book. So I went and shopped it around. I found a small publisher that was willing to publish it. And that's how I published my first book in 2012 under a different name. And it's a thriller. It's a suspense thriller because that's what the dream was. And then while I was writing that book, because even though I had already read Miss Bev, I never thought that I would write romance. I was never, other than her and Brenda Jackson and a few others, I was more of a mystery suspense type person. I still am. I will watch ID channel all day, every day. But I wrote a sex scene in the thriller. And the editor was like, you really should think about writing romance. So I had, it was like the smallest sex scene ever, but apparently she tweaked my interest when she said that. So I just said, okay, well, I'm going to write this book about a woman torn between 2 brothers. Well, if you know romance, that's not a romance convention. So I was getting this block every time I tried to tell somebody about it in the industry. They're like, that's not a romance because she can't be torn between 2 men, So I'm like, but this is the story I want to tell. So I found an editor who really liked the story, and she bought it. So that's how I got the deal with Grand Central Forever for my first book as Elle Wright.
That's quite a journey.
Yeah.
So
very.
How many books ago was that?
27.
Oh my goodness, you've been a busy lady.
Yes. Yes.
I will say, and this is kind of a double question. The first question is, I think that it's very interesting that your first book was a thriller. Often with authors, their first book is a pseudo romance, but it's not really romance. It's a darn near erotica,
Yeah.
So that's often people's first book, but you went a thriller route.
Yes.
Has that always kind of been where your imagination kind of lay? I know you said you dreamt this story. So
I dreamt the story, but like I said, I am a thriller type of person. I tend to think dark. So I and people tell me this all the time. Even my editor is like, you think dark, but Disney is kind of dark, right? So, I was always into Disney, even like Cinderella is dark. You have this fairy godmother and these evil stepmother and these kids,
That's true. And speaking of Disney, and you mentioned that brought to my mind. I hadn't seen this movie since I went to it with my daughter when she was a kid, and she's 26 now. But A Bug's Life.
Yeah.
It was on last night on Disney. And you're right. They have some dark, they had the grasshoppers were like just bullies and terrorists. And the ants, they were trying to scramble to get the nuts but the grasshoppers were mean. They were vicious.
Yeah.
So you're right. Disney can be dark. I never really even thought about Disney being dark, but
every cartoon, every single cartoon is
have
dark.
A dark element too. So when you
Snow White to now.
Yeah, well, you're right.
Actually kind of darn right scary.
Yeah. It's true. You're right. So you said something that I found interesting. You said that a romance can have a woman that's torn between two brothers. Why not?
That's what I thought. I mean, it happens,
It's plausible.
My whole goal story was this lady, I wanted them to root for the relationship that was the wrong relationship. When I set out to write it, I wanted the reader to root for the wrong relationship, like the guy that she shouldn't have been with, So I just thought it was a perfect little contrast because the guys were different, but she was with one of the brothers and he was actually a bad guy, but the other brother was a good guy and she wasn't with him. So she got with him in the story. I wanted people to root for them to get together, right? Well, the editors and the agents that I was querying, they were like, this is not really a romance because there's set conventions in romance, and there has to be a happily ever after. And I thought, well,
romance.
That's why I don't read a lot of romances because they're the same plot.
Well, actually now
fans want the formula.
Yeah.
If anything varies away from that formula, they get upset.
Well, now there's several authors, including myself, that tend to push outside the boundaries when we write. And I think it makes a more diverse type of romance.
Yes.
Because life is not
perfect.
It's
not like a perfect plot. Like this happens, the boy meets the girl and then they get together, then they have some kind of conflict, then they get back together and then they have ever after. It's the same plot. And it would be nice if it doesn't have to deviate wildly. It doesn't have to be like a murder mystery plugged in there. But having something different is good. I mean, that's one thing about now. You can the big publishing houses, they don't like anything different. They whatever made money last year and the year before, they just want to stick to the same thing forever until somebody else proves that something different will work. Then they'll go. But until then, it's a box. It's a box they put everybody in.
Well, I think even the publishers have to take notice that readers' appetites are a little different. And they have, the Black indie romance writer community is huge and growing growing every day.
Yes.
And there's some phenomenal authors writing these stories that wouldn't have gotten any play when I started in 2014. And now they're getting these deals because they're just different. They're diverse. And, there's always going to be certain people who love the formula You know, they read to escape. So they want that happily ever after.
That's how they read Harlequin. Because Harlequin goes by a specific formula. There's no nothing. They just know their audience. So so that's what they can go for. And if somebody wants something different, they won't go to Harlequin.
Yes.
Something different.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, well, I just think people who write need to be free to write what their passion is. Because you can come up with a completely amazing story. It can still be within the boundaries, but you know, it doesn't have to be so.
I agree. I mean,
so
I love to write for myself. I love to self-publish books that I didn't think that I didn't want to be policed on, you know.
Right. Because the police, the book police, they are very strict.
Yeah. But that's in every genre, right? So
it is.
It's all over. Like every single genre has these traditions and these known guidelines that you need to stick to.
Right. In order to get signed. But you know, the beauty of the self-publishing world that's really just exploded over the last 15 years, I'll say, is you can really write anything that people are interested in and sell it. You don't have to stay within a box. Now, we don't have that much time left, and I wanted to ask you about, you're included in the series called The Baes, BAES, of Juneteenth. And it's a series. It's going to be released in June, from what I saw. And there's different authors with different titles, and you're one of the authors. So tell me, how did that come about? I've seen something similar with who did that? She was on the show. She was a publisher running. She said she had it was Elle Renee. They did like this winter crest thing every day during the holidays. They had a new release from different.
So we've been doing this for a while. We started back in 2017. Me, Sherelle Green, Cheryl Lister, and Angela Sills, we did this Once Upon a Bridesmaid multi-author series.
Okay.
And so we've been doing, we released several books under that banner. And then we had this idea to kind of do like a countdown. So we started it in 2020, I want to say 2020, for the countdown to New Year's Day. So we did New Year Bay. And and then the next year we were like, well, let's do Christmas. So we did the Bays of Christmas. And so we took a break, and now we're back with Bays of Juneteenth.
Okay, and that's really, I like that you all tied it to Juneteenth. So how many? So how's the countdown work? When does it start? And how many total books? It looked like maybe 12. I just saw it like a display, but you can tell us how many.
So when we first started it started at 8. So then we did Christmas Bay. It was 10, and so we did Juneteenth, and now it's 11. And what we do is me and my girlfriends, the Once Upon a Series girls, we're the ones who spearheaded this. So we asked other authors to participate, and they either say yes or no, and then we kind of have a blueprint of how we want the series to run, and then everybody writes their own book, but they have to hit certain beats that will address what we're trying to do. For this one, it's the Juneteenth holiday. So each book has to kind of reference this Juneteenth holiday and the organization surrounding it. So
I really love that. I think that's great. So when's the countdown start? Does it start June 1st and then?
No, it starts 11 days before it starts. This June 7th.
Okay, because Juneteenth is the 19th.
Yes, so June 7th, and then there's Father's Day, because we didn't want to like release a book on Father's Day, and then we'll kind of recap on Juneteenth itself, because we kind of want to leave Juneteenth open to kind of have some discussions on Black culture, you know. So we didn't want to actually release a book on Juneteenth, because that's a day, kind of like MLK, day of service, a day of commemorating our struggle and our culture. and things like that. So we're doing the countdown starting from June 7th, and there's one book that releases each day until the 17th, I think. 17th. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I really like that. That's really neat. Now, these are novellas?
Yes.
So they're not full novels. So
No.
what's the average word count?
About 25,000, like little short reads.
Okay.
Something that people can read through. And trust me, they read through them. And when we did New Year Bay, that was even like a 20,000 word. It was like started at 15K to 20,000. And people read that whole series, all 8 books in one day. So like it was, so we kind of increased the word count, and they still read, like it's just, they just devour them,
If a story is good, it's good.
Yeah, that's really creative. I love that.
Yeah, so, we love doing it.
So how do you all do it? Well, these are all ebooks, because if it's a novella, normally it's an ebook. So what did you do? You stagger the release dates on Amazon? Is that how you do it?
Yep, we just set up, each author we have a little document that we all can edit. We picked our release date, and each author set up their own book.
Okay.
So we're not doing any accounting or anything like that. Each author sets up their own book.
Okay.
And
now what about the cover art? How do you manage the cover art?
We hire one of our organizers is Sherelle Green, and she does the covers, and everyone, we hire her. She has a concept and she creates them. Okay.
That's really, I love the creativity. I love the thinking outside the box and working together, making something work together, because 2 is better than 1. And 12 is even better if you can get them to work together.
Yes. And that's the whole point. We want to collaborate. We love collaborating with other authors, and it's just a way to kind of cross promote each other and celebrate each other. Right. We have indie authors and traditional authors that have written with us, and it's just been a great experience for all of us.
So do you all, in the Juneteenth series, are there characters that are common through all the books, or is it every one is a different story, and then the common thread is the Juneteenth?
Well, everyone's a different story. And that's with all of the anthologies that I've been in. They're all standalone.
Okay.
But there is a common thread, and that's the holiday. So as with New Year's, there was the holiday, like we're counting down this holiday, and Christmas the same way. The same with Juneteenth. For Juneteenth, though, we do want to focus on Juneteenth, like the organization that is surrounding Juneteenth. And if you've seen the promo, each book is called Mr. something.
Yeah.
Because there is a Mr. Black organization, which we'll reveal more about later.
Okay.
Down the line. So that is a part of all of the books. And each author, if they want to collaborate with another author and kind of cross over into other stories, they're more than welcome to do that.
Okay. Well, we're at the end of our time. It went by really fast. So tell people how.
It's going by so fast.
I know.
So we get into it, and next thing you know, it's
over. Next thing you know, it's over. But we want people to get a flavor of everything so that they can go and seek more information. So to your website is your name.
Yes,
Elle Wright.
Wright.com.
I see that. And your social media, is it also Elle Wright?
No, unfortunately, when I first started, I didn't start as Elle Wright. So my social media is Elle, the letter L, Wright, author.
Okay, the letter L, Wright, and then author.
Yes. Okay. And that's Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, but if they go to your website, you have links to your
social media. My website connects to everything.
Yeah, so that's the way to resolve it.
I'm putting your Twitter and Instagram in the chat in case somebody wants to follow you.
Oh, thank you.
Mama Tony, I just want to make a comment. Tony Benita, she's one of our regular viewers. She watches the show almost every week.
I love Mama Tony.
Yeah, she said she read The Bays of Christmas, one each day. That's what she said.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah, so, and she reads a lot.
Yes, she does. Yes, I love Mama
Tony.
Tony.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV, and congratulations on.
And thank you so much for having me. It's great.
Well, we enjoyed talking with you. Thank you so much, and best wishes on everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your show.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, bye.
Bye. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, so we are. Did anyone win the books? That's what I need to find out.
One person did. Who was that? Stephanie? Hold on. No, it was Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn said 40.
Okay, that's the correct answer for this book here.
Yes.
So Gwendolyn Hayes won that.
That's the only correct answer.
Oh, I'm shocked. Okay. All right. Well, you put the questions in the chat. So if they want to answer them, they can. And if they don't, then we'll have an extra book for someone to give away at another time.
There you go.
So I just need to make sure I put Gwen Hayes won this one. So our next guest is a children's author, and Ashley Scott is her name. And we're going to admit her to the show and see what her book is all about, or her latest book. So, Ashley Scott, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV. And let's unmute your mic so we can hear you. Okay. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good evening or happy evening.
Well, okay. Thank you for being so chipper coming on here, because I'm in the DMV, so it is 9 o'clock at night where I am.
It is 9 o'clock at night here in Florida, and it's just 9 o'clock. This is what we do.
Well, I love right. You come on this late and they're chipper, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock where I am. So anyway, Ashley, you were recommended to us by Pam Perry, who is she is a marketing guru and a really, really close friend of the show. And for me personally, I've known her for about 20 years, and we met with books. It's been book related. Books brought us together. So you have a book called Zoe Goes to the Zoo. And now, is this your first book?
This is my first published book. Yes, it is.
Well, congratulations on that accomplishment. I know how it feels. And all of the books, if you write future books, I will say every book feels like, it's like a baby. Every book feels like the first time. It's exciting every time you get your box of books for the next release. It's just something about it. So now, who is Zoe? And why does she go to the zoo? And what's the audience for your book?
So our audience is your primary students, which are your pre-K students, maybe 2-year-olds through your kindergarten or first graders as well. There are some pieces in there that are funny that only parents would be able to kind of understand, those hidden messages in there. And then it also features my daughter, Zoe. She's a kindergartner, right? And so Zoe is the light of our family, and she has so much personality. So I am a owner of a preschool here, Oxford Learning Academy here in Tallahassee, Florida. And it was very important to me that I created a work of art, not just for Zoe, but a work of art that kids can see themselves in as they're as they're reading the book. But then there's the coloring book, and then there's a workbook. So it's all of these three different pieces that goes into it. But for Zoe, it was like, oh my gosh, this is me. So when it came to picking up those early literacy skills, it's like, wow, I could see myself. Oh, this is us at the zoo. This is my owl. So it was pieces in it that were very familiar with her, but it also became an art of light for other kids in our community, as well as the schools in our community. We've been on tour. Let's see, we released in February, and we probably have sold well over 1,000 books, like within that period of time as well. So it's definitely been a great experience.
Well, that's wonderful, and congratulations about that, because that's, a lot of people, they hear about authors who sold 1 million copies of something, and
Right.
The average book, self-published especially, and I don't know if yours is self-published, but the average self-published book sells about 250 copies over its lifetime. That's the statistic that the publishing industry in doing research has come up with. So if you're out there and you're self-published and you've sold more than 250 copies, you're already above average. So, give yourself a hand for that. And so, and plus you've done it in a short period of time.
Yes, yes.
So is that the book behind you on the stand?
Yeah, it is actually. I've got one that's closer. So
okay.
There, like I was sharing, is 3 pieces to it. This first piece is the book itself. It's on Amazon. So I actually went through Purpose Pals Publishing Company, which is a local publishing company here in Tallahassee, but they have worked not just nationwide, but internationally on projects as well. And so it was important to me that I knew that I wanted to reach, just having been a vessel that's traveled all abroad a lot. It was important for me that I reached outside of my home community. And so a publisher worked best for me and my situation, just because they had resources and access to populations that I didn't necessarily have. So for me, that was more beneficial for me. But then we were able to get it on Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes and Nobles. It's everywhere at this point. Yes.
That's great. So what, did you release all the 3 pieces at the same time?
So no, they were staggered, but they were in with like a 2-week period. So the book and the coloring book, they were released at the same time. The workbook that focuses on like phonological awareness, as well as picking up writing pieces and elements of communication and things like that. I wanted our parents within our school community to have access to this before I, went live with it in public. So this book actually followed all of the other 2 books like 2 weeks later, but that was just by choice. That was through our book signing, and through the book signing, I was able to kind of release it like as a special thing for our parents. And then that just went viral as well within our community.
Yeah, that's
community, which is a great thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of people are doing when they're doing children's books. They're doing workbooks or activity books, or like a curriculum to go along with the books, which helps get, if you're trying to pursue the public school market, a lot of or study guides, a lot of the teachers are looking for other materials as companions to the books. Now, your Oxford Learning Academy, it's for preschoolers.
Yes, so
right?
That is correct. We serve infants to 5-year-olds, and those students then matriculate to the regular, educational system. We have a quick surprise, or a surprise that we're releasing as we're expanding within the fall. But for now, we partner with a lot of different schools. We do believe in school choice. So that is a thing that we do believe in. And so with having that shared value systems, we do support not just private and charter schools, but we also support public schools. That's where my career started, within supporting the public school sector. So we have been blessed and fortunate to have a lot of partnerships with schools where our parents are able to create a seamless transition into kindergarten for their babies.
Okay. Now your materials look very polished. So did the publisher provide the illustrations and all the layout and all that, or how did you make that happen?
It was a teamwork effort. My publisher is the best publisher ever. I know everybody says that, but I mean that. When we started on this project in February, and to be transparent, is not an easy process, right? So I probably went through like 10 illustrators before my publisher was like, no, you're going to go back and you're going to sit and tell me every feature. I probably spent so much money just looking at different characters, just trying to figure out what the elements of us would look like, because some of our illustrators created the characters, which is our family. They created them identical to what we look like, and that was a little creepy for us. But I was like, whoa, so then we just had, and there were just different elements with culture. Zoe's hair is very much so natural, and it's very much authentic to what you see in the book. So I was looking to make sure that illustrator was able to create that defined curl pattern that she has, or even my son Ethan, just elements alone. So I was able to really do a think tank with my publisher, and she was very patient with me during the process as we built out everything. So it was definitely a collective effort, but I would not have been able to do it without Kimmy Johnson.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like you had a pretty blessed journey, because you were able to find everybody you need on the first time out. Was this something that was intentional for you? Did you kind of know who you wanted to go after, or did things just kind of fall in place?
Honestly, it's like life, right? Or like hiking to a summit, right? So everyone has their own journey. I can't say that it was an easy journey, but I can tell you when it was published, I was like, I can breathe. Like you said, that labor of love. So I'm not looking forward to having another baby right this second, because my anxiety, I was on 10. But so no, it really wasn't. It wasn't an easy process. Of course, having that publisher did make it easier, because I was able to communicate. And then I paired that with our PR firm, which is Pam Perry. And so with working with her, it created a seamless process between her and, of course, the media perspective. But then I also have a content manager, Andrea Robertson, or Andy Burns is what we call her. And so she was able, we would have to meet and come up with what we're doing, so that it created a seamless process. But of course, you learn that at the end, let's have meetings, but it's the last 2 months. So we were developing this in rapid time. So it wasn't easy, just because, nothing in life is easy. And then, you think you're doing something right, but if you're listening and you're trusting to what God is downloading into you, it made it a little bit easier. But it wasn't. I equated to mentally the same amount it took energy mentally to open up a preschool or to quit your job, your 9-to-5 job. That's what it was like to create these materials.
Oh, okay. Well, we've both been there. Rhonda still has her full time. But she works full time on her own stuff. She has 2 full-time things going. So
see, Rhonda, that's why you can laugh at 9 o'clock at night, because you understand. Like we're going to our second and third job right now.
Right. Yes. The second, you take a little breather in the middle, and then nighttime is when I do my best writing. So because it's quiet.
Well, I actually started training myself to wake up earlier because my job gets very, very busy. And so I have to focus on my job. I'm talking about a 9-to-5 job. I can't jump around on that. So I had to actually start waking up early. So I have my alarm set for 5. I might start moving around about 5:30. And I'll go ahead and get some writing done or finish an editing project or whatever it is I have to do. And then when it's time to log into work, I can put that away, focus on work, but I feel more comfortable focusing on work because I've taken time to take care of my clients. And then I'll start working on client work again until I fall asleep.
I think that's just how you do it, you have to be able to compartmentalize and kind of keep things in its own file cabinet in order to kind of run multiple things at the same time. So being an entrepreneur, a full-time one, you just work in Windows, but that doesn't mean it's, any less, your job is less harder than mine. You just learn how to compartmentalize, and some days it's just not a balance, and then others you're able to fall in place.
That's true. And it's important to be able to not take on too much that you can't finish. You have a lot of incomplete projects. I don't like to have anything like that. But generally, once I decide, okay, this is the project, this is the next thing, then execution is quick. One of my friends told me I need to take the evaluation thing where it tells you your strengths, but I already know my strengths. And so what execution is probably my strongest. I can execute some stuff, but we all have different things that we're really, really good at. And so, Rhonda, you have some strengths. What you do is you are very dependable. And a lot of people are not dependable. True.
Yeah.
Rhonda is very dependable.
Thank you very much.
And I didn't know that about her exactly before we started doing this show. I've learned that over the 3 years of doing this show. But I knew you were solid. Otherwise, I wouldn't have worked on the collaboration.
And when is that when it's going to keep you on task? So I need her.
Well, I'm gonna just tell you right now, any day you pick the Zeta way, you're gonna be just good, Sarah.
I was a Zeta.
Yes, I can see. I know my blue and white. I only got on green today because the books are green, but normally it's gonna be in blue and white.
See, I was actually going to ask you because I was looking at this comment from Brittany Jones, who is a social. And it says Zoe goes to the zoo, coloring book, phonics workbook, order today. So
yeah,
you have a Sarah who's on your side,
I know that's right, Sarah.
Well, I'm not a soror, but my daughter is, and so I support the organization. And if I'm not Greek, if I were to pledge something, it would be Zeta. But at this stage of my life, pledging is not on my list. But I support the Zetas because my daughter's a Zeta and I see what their objectives are, and I like that. It's not to say anything against anybody else. I'm not great. I don't think anybody will be upset when we support my daughter. And if they are, shame. So anyway.
We love all of our D9. We just
and that's true. She tells me about that, the Divine Nine, and they work together. And she tells me about all the stuff. She chose she had her own path because, like I said, I'm not Greek, so it wasn't a legacy type thing. She could pick whoever she wanted, and she went to an HBCU, so that was part of the mix. Now I have a question about you. doing all this. How many people are in your academy? How many students do you have in your Oxford?
Well, we're able to serve 187. Right now, we have about 125. During the summer, we do run a camp in conjunction with our nonprofit. And so really, it's just like our nonprofit arm just completely runs this camp. But we're committed to serving 110 students within the community at no cost. So those parents are there they're able to bring their kids from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. The kids will get breakfast, lunch, and snack. And then they have their remedial programs as well. So we've been running that one for about 2 years. It is independent, but they're all your kids. You know, you get to learn, you get to know all of your families.
Okay. Now you also do grant writing.
Yes.
And so for the audience that's out there, I know I hear a lot of people talk about grant writing, but what does it take to be a successful grant writer? What do you think?
Oh my gosh, I think prayer, you know, practice and perseverance. And I just spoke about those 3 P's this past Sunday, but truly prayer, you know, and making sure that you hone in on what, you know, it is that you're gifted to do. You know, that's a gift. And so we have to make sure. And for me, it's something that my mom, you know, started, and just me being under the shadow of her and the wings of her, just being able to be cultivated in that way since I was like 15. So that was, you know, something that I knew that would become a gift of mine that passed on from her. Practice, because practice really does take, you know, make you become perfect, and you begin to learn your craft in that process as well. And then of course, just being persistent, because you know, sometimes you may not get it on that first try, but you have to really research and get to know what it is that you're doing. So I will say grant writing is a work of art as well, but it's something that can be learned. It will take some time, but I've been doing it for like well over 16, 17 years, and I'm within the last 5 years, probably like about 60 billion in now. So it's a different perspective for me.
So you know what you're doing, basically what
that's what I'm saying. She knows what she's doing. A lot of people talk about grant writing, but actually getting the grants awarded, writing something that will get the grant awarded is
people are choosing grant writing as the new hustle. If you look on social media, you'll see people say things like, you can get $20,000 for your business tomorrow. DM me for information. And then you'll message them to see what they're talking about. And they're like, all right, just send me your information. I'm like, I don't know you yet. Can you at least tell me what you're applying for? You know, I'm not
absolutely, you know, and so I it's one of those things where you just have to have that tunnel vision. You know, I do know that those things are out there on social media. I kind of don't really pay attention to them because I got enough going on my own. But I do know that if it sounds super easy, it's probably not something you should be engaging in. And then, of course, you know, just working within systems and organizational systems with corporate companies or your larger multi-million-dollar nonprofits, it's just a whole conundrum of things. So grant writing is one aspect, but we have to make sure you have something that people are willing to invest in, but something where you're showing that you're expanding services and that those entities will get a return on investment for you serving your community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some things about that apply to just about any situation. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Run. Okay. If it's a get rich quick thing, run. It's a scam. All get rich quick schemes or whatever, they're scams, because you don't get rich quick. And normally this is what happens on get rich quick. The people who are the original people, they'll get rich. And then when the bottom falls out, then everybody else is a sucker. You know, they say it's a sucker born every minute. So just if it sounds too good to be true, like I had somebody DM me last week, some man, I don't even know him, but he said, send me your Cash App and so I can send you $500.
Yeah.
I'm like, nigga, I'm sorry. I don't want I used to one on the show. I didn't mean to, but anyway.
But needless to say, you were not able to send him those items, so you were safe. And we
she comes with the sweetness behind it.
That give some. Who would give a stranger $500? I mean, nobody does that. So, but some people fall for scams.
Yeah.
You know. So, and there's a lot of scams on social media and online.
A place of being desperate, and sometimes when you're desperate,
that's true,
and somebody says something's going to be easy, you kind of go for it, and it may not always be the best thing for you. So that's why it's important to do your homework, and so that's why I was glad that when she mentioned grant writing, and she was very forthcoming. This is what I do. So it's totally different from somebody who says, I can get you $25,000 tomorrow. Just send me information. No, I need to know.
It's so true. I mean, even with that, you have to figure out if the grant is right for you, because if this grant is reimbursable, do you have $100,000 or 25 sitting in your account to make purchases so you could get reimbursed? So you have to look at it as a system in its totality, but also something what you can manage as well. But also know that in today's climate, now in the early 90s, yes, we were giving money for startup programs, programs that were supporting students that were at risk. We were able to pass that money out back in the 90s, but it's not like that anymore. The climate has changed a lot since then. So now those particular funds, you have some that are for startup, but they're rarely far and few between. You have to come with some deliverables, or you have to already come with a program established for that.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Because they probably got burned, the people who would give it just handing out money. And, they learn quickly from a bad experience. And there's a question I was going to ask. Oh, so I didn't know, just based on what you just said, there's some grants where basically you have to have all the money. You have to have the money up front and they reimburse you. That's a whole different thing than getting the money where you can operate.
Correct.
So you have to really be well established to have the resources to do that and wait to get it reimbursed.
Some funds, they do require you to have like a certain amount of money saved to let you know your reimbursement has to travel through 7 different hands before we even get it over to the finance department or the comptroller to reimburse you. So it does take, some time, but eventually you learn the balance act, and then you're able to buy materials and supplies and things or books to support what your mission is, and to pull together the community in the way you need it to be pulled together.
Well, we just have a few minutes left, but I did want to find out what's next for your books.
For my book, so we have kind of hit the ground rolling with our tour here, like in the southern region. And so over the summer, we actually have a lot of other programs that we'll be looking at in Atlanta, California as well. We have some partnerships up there, as well as DC. This week we'll probably be in New York. Well, I know we'll be in New York this week, so not saying probably, so that's thing. With the books in general, just getting it out to the community, getting out to the world. We also have a unique partnership abroad in Europe, in the United Kingdom, and in Ireland. So I'm looking forward to being able to travel over there and even working with parents and providing them with some parent engagement or professional development on what skills they can do to help build out and prepare our kids for when they do matriculate to kindergarten.
Okay, well, that's important, very important that children start off with the foundation. So, you know, when they get to kindergarten, they're not having to learn their letters. You know, they already know some of the basics. And so tell people how they can get a copy of Zoe Goes to the Zoo.
So you can go to archreaders.com. You're able to purchase the books. All 3 of them are there. Most conveniently, you are more than happy to go to amazon.com. If you're a Prime member like I am, you're going to get them in like 2 days. So go on amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, they're there. We just got connected with a book. I cannot even think, and my publisher would be like, Ashley, you know it. But this particular entity allows you to have access to like over 40,000 different access, you know, points for people to purchase. So we were just able to get on with them. It takes a while for you to get your books out if you go through them. So we did Amazon first. So definitely you can go on Amazon. If you have questions about grant writing, you want to know more about that, Instagram is where you can find all of the grant writing tips. You can add me at @the_real_A Scott. I'm on there. Follow me on there. Would love to connect with you all and talk about, for Black authors, how do we get our books within nonprofit sector so that we can actually provide not just the resources in books, but representation, because books are windows into cultures or into places and regions that we have never been. And so, yes, that's how you can find us.
Okay. Well, those of you who are interested in grant writing or getting grants written or however Ashley handles it, reach out to her. And we really are excited about your project. Thank you so much for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you for having me. And I want to just give a quick shout out to my family, my husband, John, who's in the book. And he's like, did I have to be the Bama of the Week in the book? And I'm like, it's my book. You can write yours. But if you read it, you'll be like, oh my gosh. The story is that Zoe loses her owl at the zoo, and I'm going to keep it like that. And just grateful for Zoe and Ethan, as well as our publishing company, Purpose Power Publishing with Kimmy Johnson, as well as Pam Perry and Andy Burns, who does all of our content.
Okay. Thank you so much, and have a great evening, Ashley.
You too. Good night.
Good night. Okay. So we are at our last interview, and Quan came on early, so he's back. And Rhonda said she was going to ask him about the Inkwell shirt he had on. And because we were talking about the Inkwell earlier with Rod when he came on. And oh, we got some lights going. We got a ring light. I can tell.
Somewhere.
We good on the light? We good?
Yeah. You got, because I know one interview, because I think this is your third time being on the show. You've been on every year. So you were on in the first year, I think, and then you were on last year, I know. And then this is your third time. But I think the first time you were practically in the dark, Quan. And
it's like my skin just kind of absorbs the light. Like, so I need like a ring light or something to.
Well, everybody needs light. You know, that's no matter what the shade, you know, with photography or camera work, the lighting is how you can tell, you know, that it's at a certain level, you know. But anyway, how have you been?
I'm good. I have no complaints.
Yeah, I see you out and about, you and your wifey.
We move around. We got one kid left to get off to college, and then we straight.
Y'all have an empty nest and figure out what to do.
Get a motorcycle or RV or something, ride cross country.
Yeah, you know, you can take, road trips are different without kids.
They are, yeah.
Yeah, because we've done that. We want to do another one next year. We did one last year with was it last year? What year are we in? We did in 2021 with my sister and her husband, me and my husband. And it's great. I mean, it's wonderful to get out and see the country without kids. You know, you love your kids, but it's different. You get to do adult stuff.
Yeah, adult stuff, and you like, okay, they good, and we out, and
yeah. So now I really specifically wanted you to come on to talk about Quan Presents. I kept seeing that, on books. And I'm like, when did Quan present? When did he do that? When did he make that transition?
For a long time, since 2006.
You've been doing Quan Presents? Mm-hmm. So who are some of the authors? I forgot who the author was that I saw it on.
Now this is the thing. It's a backstory to it.
Okay.
Everybody knows my history with Triple Crown. I started with Triple Crown and how that went, right? Mm-hmm. And so I used to always complain about, just different little nuances and things about the industry that I didn't like. And an author friend of mine was like, well, you're getting a little money now. Why don't you put your money where your mouth is? If you want to help people, then put your money behind somebody. So, I got an author here and got an author there, and it's more like, and my thing, when I was publishing authors, right, it wasn't like, all right, I want to sign you to a 3-book deal. I was doing it like every few years I would see somebody who I felt maybe was special. And I would say, okay, I'm going to finance 1 book for you. I'm going to show you how it's done from start to finish, from edits to the binding to your ISBN. I'm going to show you everything and do it for you one time and send you out on your own. I'll recoup my money and you help somebody else going forward, pay it forward once you learn. So it was something that was like I was doing selectively publishing authors. Now it's different now because I stopped publishing authors because it's just a lot. It's very time consuming. And sometimes, right, people don't have realistic expectations of the industry. No, so you have a lot of situations where you put your name on the front of somebody's book and they think because you have a big fan base, they're gonna have a big fan base. And it's like they don't really understand, like, my name may get someone's attention, but it's gonna be up to you to hold their attention.
Right. And you've been writing, how many books do you have, Quan? So, what you're gonna get is based on what you have put in, which is how many books you have?
Like 40 something.
Yeah. So,
these are novels. Like, I'm talking about novels. I know people measure books differently now, but I'm talking about like novels, 80,000 words, 90,000, 100,000, 75, like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you can't expect to have the following that a person has when they've written 40 books. When you've just written 1 book. It's just, that's not the way anything works. Nothing works like that. You
have to grow it. And I tell people, like, it was not an overnight thing for me. Like, I put in a lot of pain for a lot of years before it was like, hey, he's not going away. Who is this guy? So it's like that, but people don't want, they just want that, they want overnight success.
Yeah, everything, they want everything microwave.
They want everything microwave. And with writing is a thankless job. So it's something that you have to do out of love. You're not going to get rich right away. You may never get rich. Right. So it's something that you have to genuinely love to do it. So that being said, I stopped publishing. Now what you see now, when you may see Kawan presents here and there in the book, I do a bit of brokering. I guess that's a way to put it. Okay. So that's like kind of like saying I approve this message.
Oh, okay.
So it's a thing like the publisher do, like, hey, well, can we, since you bought X, Y, Z over here? All right, well, go ahead. Okay. Because I'm not gonna take you anything that I don't think is good. So I don't mind that. So that's like when you see Kawan present, it's the stamp of approval for me.
Okay. So the books that you put your stamp behind, have they all been urban?
No.
Huh?
Okay.
You don't want to put your name on something that you don't.
No, not at all. Like I said, when it was the publisher.
And then it's not a good book, it's not well written, doing anything with it, then that affects your brand as well.
Yeah, absolutely, because it looks like you don't know the material. So again, like with when I was doing it with the publishing, Kawan Presents, because that was my brand at the pub. But in this situation, it's like, hey, I believe in this book. You should too.
And that's a risk for you.
Yeah. Listen, I've been gambling all my life. I've been taking risks all my life. And this is kind of why, and that's been a part of my success, because I do things that people are afraid to do. Like you see, I'm dual published. I'm signed to majors, and I independently published. Now, years ago, people couldn't do that.
Right.
I took a risk, and so I got it off, and then it became kind of like a thing. But at the time when I first did it, people weren't doing it. They were like, "You're going to ask for what? They're never going to go for that." It's not about what you say; it's about how you say it.
Yeah, and if you don't ask, you won't get it. It's like Ray Charles asked for his masters, and that people thought that was nobody, but he got it because he asked.
Exactly.
And so sometimes you have to like ask for something outrageous. A lot of times it gets people's attention.
You do. And when I told like other writers, I said, guess what I'm about to do? I'm about to do this. And they're like, you crazy. And I said, we should all do it. Let's all do it. Let's just try it. If we go collectively, it's more of an impact. If I go by myself, it's like, they made me say no. But if we go, they like, man, good luck. And it was. It was a turn of luck for me.
Yeah, you have to be a risk taker. Well, an entrepreneur is a risk taker by definition. And so you have to be, you think, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? This is, if you don't, nothing venture, nothing gain. You have to try something. You can't just do the same thing everybody else is doing and expect to have a breakthrough. That's just not the way it works.
Exactly. You have to take risks. You got to be willing to jump off the porch.
You do. And hopefully you have a soft landing and you don't break your ankle.
Not all the time, no. Not all the time, but yeah.
Not all the time. So now you have 2 books coming up in the next several months. You have the 5th installment of your animal series.
No.
In November, you're not doing that? I saw the book release date.
I put
You put that on hold?
I put Animal 5 out 2 years ago.
Well, why is it saying it's released November 28th?
Where? On Amazon?
I don't know where I was.
If you what you might be looking at? You might be looking at the mass market version of it. But the trade.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, because that book has been out and that book was huge for me. And when I finally got, I made it wait.
And I thought that, but then I saw the date, so I said, okay, so what about Black Godfather? Is that a real thing?
They put that out there already. They so thirsty. Damn, I didn't even get a chance to say, hey.
I wish I could tell you where I found it. I did my research before the show. And so I can't tell you exactly where it was because I did it before the show. Let me see if I can find it. I'm gonna look real quick. But I looked up your upcoming. Oh, was it on Amazon?
It probably was. They probably couldn't wait
because you could yeah, that's where it was. I pulled up your name with all your stuff, and then you can sort by release date.
Yeah.
So when I sorted by pub date,
I'm looking at it right now.
It said pre-order now, Animal 5, but it is the mass market.
Yeah, this the mass market.
November 28th. Okay. So then they have Black Godfather on January 23rd.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now as we on the thing because I was trying to keep it quiet because I never tell my titles until we're further along in the process.
Oh,
and they just kind of jumped off the porch and put that out there.
Well, it's out there because it's on
Amazon. Black Godfather, January.
Well, that
Black
should
Godfather, be the Black Death.
So, is it going to be based in Harlem, like Godfather of Harlem?
No, not like that at all. Not like that. This is different.
Okay.
The Black Godfather, I'm trying to think of how much I can tell y'all. It's about a war veteran, actually, a young prisoner of war who comes back home to Harlem after being locked up, and he sees like how drugs have decimated the neighborhoods. And he takes action. I'm not going to tell you which kind of action he takes.
Okay.
Because like I said, I'm just floored because I didn't even know they put this out there.
Okay, so is this one of your self-published titles, or is this from a major publisher?
This is coming out through who did they list it under? Urban Kensington. This is coming out. Yeah, it's coming out under Urban. Okay.
So that sounds like a great plot.
Yeah, and they put the look. Not only did they put it up, I sent in an outline. They put the whole outline to the whole story on Amazon.
Oh, they did. Okay, see, I didn't investigate. You have to be careful about what you upload. Because well, at least you found out on this show we have breaking news.
There you go.
It is breaking news because I'm laughing because I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I said this is what we do on Black Authors Matter too.
No, I'm laughing, but I'm laughing so hard because this is not a synopsis. This is an outline for a book, and they put Jesus on the cross.
So that's basically your plot line. You're like,
yes.
Wow. Maybe you can get them to take it down.
You know what? If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. Because one thing you know about me, the synopsis is generally the first thing that I turn in, right? For a book. But by the time the book comes out, it's not gonna read like the synopsis. Like if you look at the back of, let's say, section 8. Section 8 was supposed to be about Tech and Tiana. That's what the synopsis said. But when you read the book, it was about Animal and Gucci.
Okay. Okay. Now, where do you get your inspiration from? I know you get a lot of it from real life, but do you use a lot of is it all real life? Like,
I would say,
I know it's real.
It's real. It's inspired by, like, art imitates life.
Okay.
So in that way, my stories are inspired by life, just the walks of life.
And I think last time I talked to you, you're writing full time. Is that correct? Is that true?
I've been writing full time.
Full time a while. Yeah, but sometimes people will do it for a while, then they'll, get a part time.
I don't know how to write and rob. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding.
We believe you.
Stop it. Stop. Don't do that. Don't do that. No, but I'm a full-time writer. I've been writing.
For how long have you been full-time?
Since when the Gangster came out? Since 2002.
You've been full-time for 20 years, 21 years?
Uh-huh.
Wow. That's amazing. Because I thought I met you when your first book came out.
When did we meet? We met a long
time.
We
met you and Jimmy Benjamin came to Houston.
Oh, so you know what? Nah, that wasn't my first book. I had been around for years.
I didn't even know that. In the
beginning, I had a lot of underground success, because we were not welcome in the mainstream areas and, stores and stuff like that. So we got a lot of I sold probably 80, maybe 100,000 copies of Gangster on the street before it ever hit a bookstore. So, So by 2006, I was on my second major publishing deal by 2006.
Okay. It was the third year of the festival. So we're in year 16 now. So that's 13 years. So whatever year that was, 2010. That would have been 2010.
Oh yeah, I was seasoned by then.
Okay. But see, I didn't know. I knew Jimmy, and I don't even know how I knew Jimmy, but I knew him from somewhere. Maybe he came to Houston to the store or something. But then when he came to the festival, he brought you with him.
Yeah.
And so he was the person that was there. You were with him. That was how I met you. With Jimmy Benjamin.
That was in Houston?
That was in Houston.
Oh, I think the first time I came to the festival, I participated in the festival. Was that?
No, you didn't.
No?
This event is my creation, and I've run it.
No, I know that.
So I know every featured author. I know everything.
You know what I'm saying is I had to have been out there for something else because
you might have been.
Because I don't think I'd have just flew to Houston. Me and Jan would have just flew to Houston if I wasn't. So I might have been. Oh, you know what? What was that other store they had out there?
The Shrine.
Yeah, I was doing something at the Shrine and pulled up.
Okay, yeah, but it's been a long relationship, and it's a good one. I tell everybody, absolutely. Juan is a good guy. He's real, and he has no pretense. There's nothing fake.
Yeah, I'm just regular. I'm just me. I'm honest and try to stay out the way.
Yeah, but it's amazing that you've been able to tell so many different stories over such a long period of time.
I know, and I'm
different angles. It's not all the same,
It's not. And I write across genres.
Yes.
So because you have to keep reinventing the wheel. You don't want to fall into, you don't want to hit that glass ceiling.
Right.
So it's like when you limit yourself to one thing, and you may be great at that one thing that you write about, but I think that when we don't try to write other things, we're not challenging ourselves. I'm not saying that you have to be great at this other thing that you try to write, but you should at least give it a shot to see Because we're writers, you know, as writers, it doesn't, I tell people like this, writing is something you can't teach. You're born a writer or you're not.
I agree with you.
That natural gift, you don't have to be just limited to writing one particular genre. That gift has the power to carry you to wherever you want it to take you.
That's true. Because I didn't I wrote like I did news writing. I did commentaries. I did newspaper social and political commentaries. I had a column in USA Today for a while. So I was writing short pieces, you know, news stories. So writing a book was a different exercise. But what I was always good at research, like research papers and stuff. So I just applied all my earlier books were more they were nonfiction. So I would just apply the same thing. You just make it longer. You know?
Yeah, it's just that you know what? It's like muscle memory and repetition. That's like if I go from, you know, I'm used to writing books. So when I'm taking a break from books and I'm writing a script, it's like having to train your brain because it's not the same thing. It's the same, but it's different, you know? It's short as opposed to like being wordy with books. So it's like I said, it's muscle memory, but once you get used to it, I'm sure you can switch and turn it on and off at your leisure.
Yeah, now I didn't know you were doing script writing too, but yeah. I noticed a lot of people are venturing. A lot of people that I met in the early 2000s that were, you know, writing books during that period have made inroads into script writing. Several. A lot of our male authors have done that, which is great.
A lot of women too.
Yeah, women too. But I think women get more exposure, seems like sometimes. Maybe.
It depends.
Maybe because there are more females there are more female authors, but they also, you know, 75% of the readers are women too. So a lot of times, you know, that plays into it. Even for whoever, it doesn't matter who the author is, 75% of the people who read books are women. So
yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Like, and even a lot of the dudes who come and buy the books, you know, like more men are reading now, which is amazing. But a lot of them, they're buying books for their wives, and their girlfriends introduce them to these stories a lot of times.
That's true. So in your script writing, Rhonda, do you have anything you want to ask? I don't want to dominate all the questions because I can ask. Oh, okay. I know, because I know some. I didn't know that Quan was doing script writing, so I want to, you know, delve into that because we didn't talk about that when you were on the show last.
No, because you know what, and I've been doing it for a little while now, but it's like something like you have to know. Like, I'm developing 2, possibly 3 television shows. I have a film that we'll be going into. I have 2 films actually, one of which will be going into production on soon. So like I've been behind the scenes, like moving around. Like I had to teach myself something different because I feel like television and films, though I always write books, I feel like television and film is the natural evolution. And the reason I probably had just been so timid about it thus far is because in the early days, I got a lot of offers from a lot of people. You know, people offer you things. You know, you're young and you pop in and these books are popular and everybody wants to make a movie. Everybody wants to make a movie. But none of the deals were right. They were all really terrible deals. You know, and a lot of people fall victim to these terrible deals because they just are so excited and they want to get their movie out. So I said, I would rather sit and wait on it until I found a situation that I became comfortable with, or just it doesn't happen, you know. And I think I don't want to, because once you give your baby to somebody, just like a book, to make a film, you can't take it back, you know. The foray, and especially for me, I've been blessed to do really well and be really dominant. And I'm going to say that, I say that with my chest, dominant as far as writing books. So people sometimes look for you to fail, you know, and it may not necessarily be your fault. You may just get into a situation with a shitty production company and they have poor cameras where the sound is all twisted. And it's not your fault, but that's going to fall on you. They're going to say, look, he bit off more than he can chew. He jumped out the window, look. So it's just about making sure that you are in this right situation, and a situation that's not going to be janky. You know, something that you like. With Gangster, when they optioned Gangster, I had to sabotage that movie because I was young and I didn't understand what I was signing. And I had given them too much authority and too much power. And they tried to change what my vision was. My vision was gangster was a cautionary tale for kids about gangbanging. They wanted to make it something that was more like exploiting the lifestyle, glorifying and exploiting the lifestyle. And it was never my intention when I wrote Gangster, so I couldn't have the film go out like that. And the script he wrote was like just fucking awful. Excuse my language, it was awful. And so I was like, nah. And because of that, actually, my wife, one Valentine's Day many years ago, because I was always complaining, I said, yo, this dude messed up my script. So for Valentine's Day, I opened this box. I'm thinking it's jewelry. I don't know what it is. I opened this box, and it's the final draft program. She says, you're always complaining about people messing up your scripts. You're a writer. Teach yourself how to write your own. Mm-hmm. And I did. And I thankfully I got good at it. So,
well, that's great to have a spouse that's supportive, you know, and can really share in your vision.
It's also good to have the skill to be able to do it. And I've been saying this a lot lately. You may know how to do a lot of things, and it doesn't mean that you have to do it yourself. But it does mean that you have enough knowledge about what it is that you're paying somebody to do, so that they can't get over on you. You already have
exactly.
So even if you don't write your own script, you know when somebody's bringing you back some bull. I mean, I've had some of my books turned into stage plays, and even though I paid somebody to write the script, I still went through the script myself, and there were certain things that I had to, especially the first one. The person thought that they knocked it out of the park, but there were so many things that needed to be changed. And I was glad that I at least had that know-how, so I knew what to look for, to know what needed to be fixed.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of our people, when I say our people, I mean Black people, unfortunately have fallen victim to bad deals. I don't know if it's an interview that Dave Chappelle did where he said he was broke, and he signed an agreement, and then he gave his name away. The Dave Chappelle show or whatever, they wouldn't even let him have his name.
Right.
So he could not do a Dave Chappelle show because they had bought his name from him, and he couldn't use it anymore. I mean, but you know, there are people that exploit people who really have talent, but they don't have knowledge, and they don't have representation, and it's unfortunate. It's happened to a lot of and in all kinds of industries, the music and movies and books and
everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everybody trying to get over.
Yeah, we have loads of creative. Our creative is like on 100, but we need to seek help, seek representation, have somebody at the table with you. You know, when you're talking.
Somebody that knows, like, that kind of knows what's up, because you know, and that was the thing when in the beginning, like with all of us, when the urban thing first started, like really bubbling again.
Mm-hmm.
We were young. And a lot of us were from situations where we were not financially okay. So we come into getting this money, and we're just so happy to get an opportunity to do this thing and to be getting paid for it. There were certain precautions, there were certain protections that we didn't have, and there was no one there to give them to us, you know, to kind of like, hey, nah. And that's what, like, alluding back to what I was saying about the whole film thing. I didn't know at the time that you don't have to sign over any of your film rights to a publisher. So me being naive and not knowing, not understanding, I had given part of my film rights to the publisher. I mean, I got them back eventually, but it was just so hard to do. It took me 10 years. 10 years. I didn't understand.
People, for those out there who are creative, get representation. You know, and if the person that you're talking to doesn't want you to have it, that means that's a bad deal. That person doesn't have integrity, because they should want you to have representation. They shouldn't want to be getting over on you. Well, Quan, we're at the end of our time. I do want people to know how they can get in touch with you, like just connect with you on social media. You're under Quan. You used to be under Quan Eats or Needs to Eat or something like that.
Oh,
remember Rights to Eat?
Yeah. So now on my Facebook is Quan Wrights. My Instagram is Kawan_I am legend. My Twitter is Kawan the Writer, and I think that's it. I think that's all I think I got a TikTok. I got a TikTok. That's Kawan the Writer as well.
Okay.
What's your website?
Girl, my website is Kawan Wright. I keep saying I'm gonna get them to finish building it, and I have not gotten around to it. So you just bet.
I won't share it if you're not finished building it then.
Yeah, so it's best to just catch me on the social media.
Yeah, well, that's where most people are.
Yeah.
So well, Quan, it's great seeing you, and hope to see you again in Houston soon at some point. You know,
let me
we're
know
building back up to our in-person. So and we changed a little bit, but you will be back in Houston at some point in the next year or two.
Okay, well, let me know, God willing, God spare life. Let me know when y'all get it rocking.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that was Quan, and he was with us, and we've had a great show, and we're so excited. Don't forget to vote for the Black Authors Matter TV Awards. The award show is May 16th, and we are out of here. Good night. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Have a wonderful evening and a great week.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.